Robbin is not what you think.
So if you didn't know, Tubi original movies are known to be horrible. I tried watching a few, but I stopped after 10 minutes or fell asleep because of the terrible quality. It's understandable why they're like this. These movies are usually low budget and don't have a lot of resources to begin with, so they make do with what they have. But unfortunately, it results in subpar movies. However, earlier last month, I saw mentions of a Tubi original named Robbin being called the modern version of Set It Off, which if you didn't know, Set It Off is about a group of women who become bank robbers, and many people, including myself, consider it a classic, and it still manages to hold up to this day. Robbin follows the same concept, and after watching it, I'm proud to say that this is the first to be original where I have reached the end credits. Is this movie really worth a watch? Let's find out. The movie starts off by showing us what's to come when we see a pregnant girl running away from the cops. The cops surround her, and before we see the conclusion of this encounter, we go back into the past and what led up to that moment. We meet Robbin in jail, who has been charged with embezzlement. She reminds me of Vivica Fox's character since they both work at a bank. In a nicely done flashback, we're introduced to her co-worker and friend, Lamar. We find out that Robbin offers to pay for his mother's heart surgery. From the start, we can tell Robbin is a generous, nice, hardworking person, which are good qualities. Robbin is gathering with her co-workers to celebrate her successful negotiation of a credit card for her bank. She's also engaged to a man named Winston, and everything seems to be going well for her, but it all changes quickly. $2 million show up in her bank account the next day, and it's evident that someone has framed Robbin. The evidence makes her look guilty, and she's forced to take a plea deal and admit to the charges only to serve 6 months. Otherwise, she could face 10 years in prison. After serving her 6 months, she spends what little savings she has to live in an Airbnb, and she realizes that no other banks wants to hire her because of the charges. Her career is essentially over. Winston, who she was engaged with, didn't visit her while she was incarcerated, and when she goes to his place to confront him, she sees quickly that he's been sleeping with her former co-worker, Kate. I knew she was sneaky because of the way she looked at that ring at the party. We then see 4 girls robbing a convenience store. They get away with it until they get home to see a detective named Kelly sitting on their doorstep waiting for them. Kelly is a type of mother figure that tries her best to keep the girls out of trouble whenever possible. Shauna reminds me of Queen Latifah's character, but something about her is more likable.
So Robbin starts going through some old photo albums, and she finds a picture of herself with the 4 girls that we saw rob the convenience store. They were her close friends, but she abandoned them once she decided to go to college. Shauna finds an eviction notice on the door while taking the trash out. Robbin sneaks up behind her, and she's mad because you don't sneak up on people like that, especially in the hood. Robbin convinces Shauna to have the rest of the girls meet up at an empty warehouse. We're introduced to Q, Trina, and the pregnant girl from earlier who's named Cam. Cam reminds me of Kimberly Elise's character, but she's more tough. I thought the connection between the girls were done well for the most part, and I felt like everyone in this group had their own unique personalities like we see with the cast of Set It Off, instead of them just all being copy-paste from that movie. Robbin tells them that she wants to rob the bank where she used to work. She knows everything and how they operate it, and she wants it to be an inside job. At first, the girls are scared and unsure of doing this, as it's a big step up from robbing convenience stores. The girls leave and think about whether or not they want to go through with Robbin's plan. We learn everyone's motives, such as Cam's partner losing his job, and this makes her want to do it now since she has a baby on the way. Everyone is on board, and Robbin goes over the plan. We learn that the bank consists of 5 separate buildings, 4 branches, and a corporate building. Robbin is going to get the girls hired at each branch, and even sets up a model of the inside of the bank in the warehouse to train them to become employees and practice the robbery itself. The model of the bank was cool to see, especially from a Tubi movie. Didn't really expect to see something like that. Robbin hires Trent and Lamar that we've met earlier to help. It was also hilarious to see the movie being self-aware, with one of the girls admitting that this felt just like Set It Off.
They managed to rob one of the branches for $5 million, and everyone involved gets a cut and fulfill their desires with the money. The FBI gets involved as they're convinced it was an inside job. Eventually, Kelly also gets involved. As Kelly is looking through pictures of the employers at the bank, she notices the girls from the pictures and quickly puts 2 and 2 together. Kelly confronts Shauna at the branch she works at and learns that Robbin is behind it. Kelly warns her that Robbin is using them to get revenge, but Shauna keeps denying her involvement. moment. Kelly just cares about the girls and looks out for them, but this is quickly proven to be beyond her control. Once Kelly goes back to the police station, her boss asks if she knows the girls, and she admits she does. The FBI has already noticed that the girls are working at the branches, and they suspect Kelly is somehow involved when she's absolutely not. Since the FBI has no way to prosecute the girls for their first robbery, they believe they'll commit another robbery and will have to catch them in the act to prosecute them. Kelly decides to meet up with Robbin, and we get some backstory that Kelly used to babysit the girls and their mothers were close with Kelly. We find out Robbin's mom died and she grew up in foster care. She warns Robbin that the authorities are on their trail. Robbin holds an emergency meeting and comes clean that she partially used the girls for revenge. And this moment solidifies that the girls' relationship are stronger than ever. The girls plan one last robbery that will set them up for life. Robbin comes up with a plan with Trent to find the codes for the silent alarms so they can rob the banks without notifying the police. Robbin's former boss is the only one that has access to these codes on his personal computer, so they decide to go to his house to get them. Robbin and Trent pose as exterminators and fool the housekeeper into letting them inside the house. They get into the computer and find the codes, and also find evidence playing to frame Robbin again, only this time wiring $100 million under her name, proving that Robbin's former boss was the one that set her up all along. Trent copies the codes and evidence onto a USB, and they quickly hightail it back to the warehouse once Robbin's former boss's wife shows up. The final plan is to put into motion, and they all leave the warehouse for now. Kelly secretly followed Robbin and Trent to the warehouse and found the model of the banks along with the blueprints, confirming that the girls really are the robbers. Kelly finally decides to tell the FBI what she knows, and the SWAT team moves in on the warehouse where the girls were meeting at. No one is there, and the place is actually booby-trapped with explosives, and the warehouse blows up. Her budget starts to show here, and the explosions and smoke look terrible.
So we see a flashback of Kelly talking to Robbin before the explosion, telling Robbin that she knew about the warehouse. So while the cops are at the warehouse, the girls begin robbing the other banks, but they're one step ahead of the authorities as they're using the silent alarms to confuse them and sending them to the wrong location. After picking up everyone, the only remaining building to rob is the corporate building, which is supposed to be Cam's job, but she backs out of it. But Robbin has a backup plan. They exit their pickup van, and as they walk away, they blow it up. The CGI doesn't look good at all here, but it's not that big of a deal because let's not forget that this is a Tubi movie. They end up using an armored truck and pose as cash couriers. After successfully securing the cash, Robbin decides to go off on her own to handle personal business and confronts her old boss. He secretly stole the money for himself, and he reveals that he hired her because she was the perfect victim to accuse for wiring the money due to her background. After Robbin leaves and Kelly and the authorities arrive at the corporate building, she calls Kelly to look at a computer containing the audio of her former boss's confession of his crimes that Robbin secretly recorded. He's arrested shortly after. The FBI somehow find their location, which turns into a high-speed chase. Robbin, I guess, is a genius and managed to create a plan for every possible scenario. They take an exit and lose the cops temporarily somehow. Everyone but Robbin gets out of the truck and they tell Cam to run off. I thought this part was messed up because she was pregnant, and where was she supposed to run off to? They get into an ambulance truck and they decide to wait in the garage until dark to leave. I don't get why Cam couldn't wait with them. Robbin drives off on her own and the police are right behind her. The movie finally reaches the point of how it originally started. Kelly and the cops have Cam surrounded and they try to convince her to surrender. Kelly then gets shot by one of the cops after Cam has a contraction. I guess the cops thought that Cam was going to pull out a gun somehow. So the movie then cuts back to the money truck and the cops are chasing it. We see that Robbin isn't in there anymore and she created some kind of contraption to keep accelerating the truck and sends it falling off a bridge and it explodes. I guess the movie doesn't want us to overthink it, but I can't help it. The cops were literally right behind Robbin the entire time. Where did she find the time to escape and set up the contraption while the cops were in pursuit? I kind of wish they had showed that instead of just skipping that entirely. It doesn't make much sense here, but whatever. So Cam is the only one that's captured and arrested. She gives birth while handcuffed and the baby is taken away. To me, it doesn't really make sense why she left her to get caught, but I feel that it might have been Robbin's plan for her to get captured. Otherwise, it makes no sense why she couldn't stay in the ambulance with the group. I guess they thought just in case the cops captured them in the ambulance, then Cam could be spared. One of the guys in the group, Lamar, is disguised as a guard, is able to break Cam out of jail, but nothing crazy really happens here. She just literally walks out the front gate. The security at this place is terrible. There's a time skip and it isn't stated how long it's been, but it's ultimately a happy ending with Kelly getting a promotion and moving into a new house, and all the girls go their own way. It's a much happier ending than set it off.
Overall, I definitely recommend watching this movie if you enjoyed Set It Off, or if you're just a fan of bank heist movies in general, since it is a niche. This movie had a low budget, but I think they did a great job for what they had to work with, considering that this was a Tubi original. This movie isn't perfect, nor is better than Set It Off, but I do think it deserves some recognition, which I don't think it'll get enough of. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye!